Hello and welcome to USA Archery's live stream of our 2021 SoCal Showdown gold medal matches. I'm Lexi Keller. I'm here with
And
Matt Requa. And we have our compound women's gold medal match coming up here. You want to introduce our archers?
we have on target 1, Paige Pierce, world ranked number 4, versus Alexis Ruiz on target number 2, who is also world ranked number 2. So it should be a very exciting match.
Yeah, and we actually have our number 1 and number 2 qualified. In qualifications, seeded number 1 and number 2, I believe, shooting here for the gold. Number 1 and number 2 again. So we've had some pretty okay conditions to shoot in this weekend. And hopefully that'll continue throughout our match here. If not, it could be a little interesting. Either way, I guess it could be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting regardless. Usually in the afternoons here in Southern California, a left to right wind picks up. So we're seeing that now. Earlier this morning, it was just dead calm for until about 10:30.
Yeah, and we saw that we were shooting actually on a different field for our head-to-head eliminations today, and then moved over to this field for our gold medal matches. So it's going to be a little bit different conditions, which they did have a little bit of a chance to practice on this field as well. So hopefully they kind of got a feel for what's going on here with the wind. And like you said, the afternoons are quite a bit different than the mornings here as far as the wind and the sun and everything goes. So have to see how they overcome it.
Yep. And here are our archers.
So we have them setting their scopes now, and I don't know how you feel about having a scope in your matches or in your medal matches, but a lot of times it's just kind of a comfort thing. I feel like they have their coaches behind them as well, kind of.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to see exactly how far your arrow is in or out and exactly what direction. They might say it's 9 right, but it's like, is it 9.5 right? Is it 9.6 right?
Yeah, is it tight or is it a little bit on the loose side? So you can kind of just glance and see, especially when you're on such a limited clock here. We are shooting alternating shooters, with Paige shooting first here in this match.
Yeah, each archer will only have 20 seconds, so it's not like they can have time to look down and
or sit there and have a conversation with their coach as far as where everything is. So, all right, let's see our first leadoff arrow of the gold medal matches here. Nice, solid shot put down there by Paige. That's a really solid way to start out a match.
Yeah, you're not going to go wrong there.
Yeah.
See if Alexis can follow her suit.
So that was a little bit low.
Yeah, she's held a little long and was getting shaken by the wind here. Seems like.
That one's a 9, just off low right a little bit.
Oh.
Paige gave her sight a couple clicks, so that might have been, just kind of a mental click, but.
And there we go. Alexis also moved her sight. Seems like she's found the 10 ring.
Absolutely. And sometimes it is just that first arrow that you got to get out of the way. And
yeah, you just have to, you're a little jumpy and it goes a little high sometimes.
High or low. Yeah, just not exactly where you want it to be. Not
No.
in the middle sometimes. And that's all right. There's still a lot of arrows left to be shot in this match. And she followed that 8 up with a couple really solid arrows.
Yeah.
I believe Paige will still have the lead here. We can see kind of the cameras a little bit. It'll either be Paige in the lead or a tie.
I think it's a tie.
Is it a tie? Okay.
2 9s.
So then at that point, even though, Alexis starting out with an 8, you can you feel a little bit better about it when you followed up with those solid arrows.
In compounds, it can definitely hurt to, have one arrow that's just bad but I mean, if you keep throwing 10s in there, no one's perfect. You can easily make it back.
Absolutely. You just got to get out there and shoot your own shots. And it does look like we are at a tie. So our order will stay the same. In these matches, the higher ranking archer from qualification gets to choose whether they want to shoot first or whether they want to shoot second. Paige obviously chose that she wanted to shoot first. So in the event of a tie, it will revert to that original order. Otherwise, if there is a point difference, the lower scoring archer at the time will shoot first. So Paige is leading this off, and the wind is picking up a little bit. That's a solid arrow for the direction that the wind is going right now.
It's still
so.
just a tiny bit low, but that could just be nerves, or it could just be her sight's just a little off.
Yep, absolutely. Good X there by
Alexis
Alexis.
has sighted in very well at the moment.
It was called a 9 as well. Good group though.
Just
a 9.
a little left on that one.
And a 9. Paige got a pretty decent group there.
Just a little low. I don't know if it's her sight or if.
And that was a 10 by Alexis. So actually, Alexis will take the lead in this one. But let's talk about releases a little bit in win situations. I know Paige actually normally will shoot a thumb button for everything. A couple of years ago, she used to shoot a wrist strap, which was also a trigger release, and then a couple of years ago, she switched to a thumb button trigger release, which she has. We kind of talk a little bit when we're on the field, when we're walking down to the targets, and she's been playing with it and has really found a lot of success with it. I know Alexis, on the other hand, typically will shoot a hinge release. And then today, when it did start to kind of pick up in the wind a little bit, she was kind of eyeing that thumb button a little bit and saying, oh, is this going to give me a little bit of an edge, something just a little bit more control on it. These girls have such experience in the wind to begin with, so they know, okay, from my hinge to my thumb button, this is either I don't hit any different impact point-wise, or I do and I have to compensate that, but we'll be able to tell. So she chose that, I believe that the thumb button was going to work a little bit better for her in the wind. So
Seems to be working out for quite well at the moment.
yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, a close one
so
for Paige
that one
there.
was a 9-liner, 9, possibly a 10. We'll have to wait for the judge's call on that one.
You can see as the wind died down, her Alexis' arrows are a little bit left, so she's got to, not move her sight and just try to get the aim back.
Yeah, absolutely, and it can be kind of difficult a little bit when you're shooting and there is a strong wind. Then when it dies down, you're like, oh, now what do I do? Like,
yeah.
Do I go back to my original aiming point, or do I still compensate a little bit?
Was it just me, or was it?
Is it just me? And at that point too, sometimes your muscles are so used to like combating that wind that it just kind of automatically happens, and you're like, oh man, I aimed off and I didn't need to. So, and that was a good X. So it looks like Paige kind of
finally found the right height on that one.
Then as well. Yeah, absolutely. And a 10.
Yeah, you see most of the archers were left on that one, and it's just going back and just being like, well, I was aiming the same spot last time. Why isn't it going into 10 ring?
Right.
And you just have to double check the wind and be confident that your shot is your shot and it's going to go where it needs to go. And you just have to make sure you're aiming in the right spot.
Absolutely. We did have a left to right wind, so the arrow's kind of drifting a little bit more left when it dies down does definitely make sense. But like I said, these archers are very experienced in tournaments and in wind conditions. So, even though it might take an arrow or two to compensate, they'll figure it out and get back in there.
Looks like Paige's arrows was officially scored as a 10, so that gives Alexis a 2-point lead, and Paige will be shooting first on target with number 1.
All right, so it does look like we have a 2-point gap in the score right now. Alexis is scored at an 86 and Paige has an 84. So Paige will continue to shoot first on target 1. And it looks like we're got just a tiny bit of a delay here. But we are watching our comments on our YouTube live feed and our Facebook live feed. So if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, anything, shoot them out to us, and we'll try and respond here as the match goes on.
And for Matty Pot Pie is asking what's wrong with the scoreboard on the live stream. It's key in here is getting it fixed, and hopefully we'll be correct here shortly.
Yeah, we are having a little bit of connection issues. I'm going to blame that one on the wind, too. Wind just kind of messes everything up, you know? Makes everybody's day miserable.
Even Wi-Fi, it'll mess it up.
Exactly. So once we'll try and do a little bit better about updating you guys on the scores, since if we can do some quick math in our head. I don't know how good at math you are.
Well, my college taught me a lot of Greek letters and letters involved in with some fancy symbols, so should be interesting going back to adding and subtracting.
Yeah, right. Might be able to add tens.
Yeah.
I think I can handle adding tens in.
Well, luckily for compound, it's usually just adding a bunch of tens together and an occasional 9.
Yeah, we won't wish that on them though. How did you shoot, Lexi? I actually shot very, very well this tournament. I was pleased. I made some changes since Gator Cup. I actually lengthened my draw length about a half of an inch, which was quite a dramatic step for me, but it ended up working for me. I qualified 4th, and I ended up in the bronze medal match against Linda today, and I took 4th as well. The wind started. I mean, I can make excuses all day long, but nobody wants to hear that. So
also Linda's kind of good.
She's phenomenal, honestly. So
looks like we're getting back here.
Yes,
we are slight technical delay.
And Paige is leading off. All right. 10. That one was a 10, so Paige would be at a 94 now. And looks like she kind of found her rhythm a little bit as well. Alexis shoots a 9, so that closes that gap actually to only a 1-point difference, which there's still, you might think, okay, we're already in N4, but there's still quite a bit of time left in this match. Anything can still happen. So.
And now it's back to a 2-point deficit for Paige, but Alexis still has 5 errors. Back to we're constantly changing.
We're back and forth here, and that's kind of the awesome thing. Especially, these girls are teammates, shoot with each other all the time. We all have a really good relationship on the field. So when it comes down to it, that aside is just who can put their best arrows down there. And a lot of times, especially on days like today, when the wind does pick up and die down and pick up and die down, you're just kind of like, all right, am I going to get caught in the wind? And you try to do your best to time it and not get caught in one of those gusts, but that can be something that just,
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of archers will switch to a button release, because they don't want to have it released in mid-gust and all of a sudden you're blown into the 8. And it's
right. Yeah, absolutely.
And now it seems that Alexis will have a 1-point lead of a 114 to a 113 in Alexis' favor.
So there's going to be a 1-point difference going into the last end. And with compound scoring matches, it just is a cumulative score. We shoot 5 ends of 3 arrows each, so 15 arrows, and whoever has the highest amount of points at the end of the match wins. Whereas in the recurve matches, which we will see a little bit later today, it's actually set scoring. So set scoring is
just every 3 arrows the winner will get 2 set points, and if you tie, you get 1 each. So if you have a really bad shot, you can bring it back, and you only lose 2 points.
Absolutely. It's a little bit of a difference. So Paige starts off that last end with with a 10, and at this point she knows, okay, I got to put them all in there, you know. And then followed up with a 10 by Alexis.
Paige here is just trying to put the pressure on Alexis, trying to.
Yep, absolutely. And that can be an advantage with choosing to shoot first. Is you put a good arrow down there, and you put the pressure on. You know, rather than having the pressure on yourself.
You get to set the tone of the match and the pace of the match.
Absolutely. All right, and Paige ends with a 9, so she will finish with a 141 for the match, and Alexis pretty much just has to keep gold there, and she does it. So Alexis Ruiz will be your champion of the 2021 SoCal Showdown here in Chula Vista, California.
Fantastic shooting by both archers.
Absolutely. I mean, just watching and being able to see how they're watching the flags, they're watching the wind, and at some points as well, you can even watch your opponent's target to say, okay, you know, Paige did start off shooting first, so Alexis might have glanced over and saw, okay, the wind drifted her this much. And use that even as kind of a reference point in how she was going to aim off as well. So
both of them are expecting to aim off about the same amount. And if you know that Paige hit an inch left of where she wanted, you're like, maybe I need to aim just a little bit more right of where I was.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking. And that can kind of be a tricky game to play. You know, you're putting how you're going to shoot your shot on basing on somebody else that you didn't see their aiming picture. You don't know where their pin maybe broke when it went off. So, but you can kind of get maybe a general idea of at least the direction. You know?
You can definitely get to see if they're thinking along the same lines as you. You might not be able to say exactly where they're aiming, but you can, get a good idea of what to expect with how your arrow is going to drift or how the wind affects you as an archer.
Yep, absolutely. So we are going to get the field reset here, put up some new targets for our compound men's gold medal match.
And much like the women's compound match, we also have ranked number 2 and ranked number 4 archers in the world shooting against each other here for the gold medal.
Which is actually kind of cool to think, they're consistently that high, consistently shooting those high scores. Not only on our national circuit here, but on the world circuit.
And this is great practice. A lot of people might be like, well, so and so wasn't there; they're not American. I mean, you're still shooting 2 and 4 in the world, and Braden, I believe, is 5th at the moment. No, he's 1st, and he was also here this weekend. So you have some of the best archers in the world here. So you might not get a Mike Slosher, you might not get a Steven Hansen, but you do get some of the best.
Absolutely.
Your competition's pretty high at this, even in the United States. Just a national event.
Absolutely. And I mean, that just goes to show too, when you see somebody that made it to the gold medal match, okay, they're shooting for the gold medal match. You see these scores, but you don't see all of the matches leading up to that were tough. Maybe they were 1 point differences, maybe they were shoot-offs. And, everybody that's in the gold medal match today fought their way to it. They shot their butts off to get here, and even that in itself is to take away to say that I made it to the gold medal match, even if you got second. It is an incredible feat too. There's a lot of people that are trying for it. So.
Oh yeah, no, there's no shortage of talent here, in especially in the men's compound division. Any match, an archer can just throw down the 150, and you're just left scratching your head. It's like, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, you can shoot the second highest score on the field sometimes and still go out to your opponent who shot the highest score on the field, and that kind of gets you a little bit. You're like, oh man, I shot the second highest score on the field and still I lost, but
would have beaten anyone else.
Anyone else on the field,
person.
Right? But I mean, at that point, you kind of still have to say, okay, I shot well. I did all that I could. So. I'm just getting the field reset here for our men's compound gold medal match.
And to answer Pete Watt's question, why is the blurry on the hand side? Why it's blurry on the right hand side? Just the camera. It's just the camera. Sorry. Or as Keaton would put it, an artistic effect to show you the artistic skills of our camera men and women here.
It's one of those. It's kind of similar to like one of those fancy Snapchat filters,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Sometimes it's the imperfections that make the picture.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we got a couple comments in here. Oh, Lexi's quiet. I actually don't hear that very often. Normally, I don't get called quiet, but
I mean, I can barely hear you. I'm sitting right next to you. All right.
I guess I'll speak up then a little bit. All right, so we got some support for our compound men's archers here. Aaron Hansman says, "Let's go, Chris." Hashtag Team Montana.
All right, it looks like we're going to be starting off with Jimmy on target number 1, Chris shooting
And
second
Chris
on
will shoot
target
on
number 2.
And Jimmy was actually our number 1 qualifier on in qualifications yesterday. He was actually tied in score with Sean Vincent, but he had more X's for the tiebreaker, so he took that number 1 spot. And starting off, thinking he might be realizing the wind a little bit here. That the girls were watching.
During the qualification and the eliminations earlier, the compounds were actually shooting facing south, so they're
Yes.
opposite wind direction here.
Yes. So if maybe a couple clicks were given in the sight when we were shooting our eliminations, completely switched now. And then who knows? By the end of it, wind might have changed its mind and went the other way. So.
A little overcorrection there from Chris.
Sometimes, it's hard, and you would rather say, okay, I want to give it a little bit much than not give it enough, and not make it. All right, we have some support for Darton Archery here on Facebook. Thanks for the comment. All right, let's see. We might have a call there.
See what the judges say.
We do have a fantastic arrow spotter here watching through the spot and scope, but sometimes those are really close, and you can see the judge is actually taking a closer look at it right now. So we'll see how that ends up. All right, so we have an official call of 29 for Jimmy and 29 for Chris. So we are an all tied up match here going into the second end of the compound men's gold medal match at the 2021 SoCal Showdown.
Knowing these two archers, this is going to be a tight match the entire time. They might pick up a point or two, but the other archer is just going to fight right back and take it back. So
yeah, absolutely.
Can't really let up at any point during this match.
And Jimmy was actually in our gold medal match at the Gator Cup a little bit ago, and so I think he's coming back for a little bit of
revenge.
A little bit of revenge. He's coming in with a vengeance. So, but again, we've got 4 more ends here before the match is decided, and a lot of things can happen. So. Right.
Still tied up here at 39. And just the consistency of both their shooting, their timing, their form, even in this wind.
Absolutely. And so if you watched our last match with the compound women versus this match, the wind actually hasn't changed. It died down a little bit. But I think the biggest difference here is the fact that these guys are shooting a little bit longer draw length, and a little bit more poundage than compound females typically will shoot. Not saying that compound women can't shoot 60 pounds, but for the majority of the time, you're going to see that the men are able to get a little bit more speed.
Ooh. See the wind
And
affected Chris
yeah,
there.
that one definitely picked up, and it is a tailwind, so it's going away from us, which will kind of push your arrow a little bit, which ends up making it go high. So,
Along with the differences in poundage and height that the men have, men generally also have more mass weight on their bow. So just
so they might not float around quite as much with their aiming. Yep.
Simple physics, just more mass equals less motion as long as you can hold it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, if you can't hold it, you're going to lose your shot a lot more, and then you're going to see more mistakes like that 8.
So it could kind of be a double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
You know, you can have more weight to kind of help slow your sight picture down, but then at the same time, if you can't hold it up there, it doesn't really do you a lot of good. So, Chris's 8 actually only took us to a 1-point difference. So Jimmy is at a 58 and Chris is going to be at a 57. So at this point, Chris will lead off this end. In our medal matches today, you're gonna see that the archer at the disadvantage will get the opportunity to shoot first. So even though Jimmy led off on our match today, with Chris being 1 point down, he starts off kind of able to put the pressure on.
Yeah.
Put the pressure on Jimmy a little bit.
And set the pace of the next end.
Yep, absolutely. All right, nice X pick to follow up with Chris. Let's see how Jimmy responds. Good 10. You know, X's are nice, but 10s still score the same.
Yep. only matter for X's in eliminations is world records, and if you drop the point, no world record for you.
No more worrying about that anymore, right? Yeah. So we'll see, and that's a pretty impressive group down there. I mean, it's not dead center, but I would take that all day, any day.
10-liner and a dead center 10 score exactly the same.
Exactly. And at that point, once you can put a group down there that looks like that and that's solid, you know, all right, those were good shots, and now all it is maybe either a little bit more aiming off because of the wind, or a click or two in the sight, and you're in there. Kind of builds the confidence a little bit.
Getting that feeling of knowing exactly that your shot is going to hit where you aim is a great feeling to have in these matches, and can literally be the difference. As soon as you lose track of where your shot's going to go, it's hard to bring yourself back from that.
It is, because then not only are you like, I'm not exactly sure where to aim, but it kind of just brings a little bit of doubt into yourself as a shooter, and then maybe you're not focusing so much on your form and executing that good shot. You're worried about all kinds of different things, and I mean that's something that you don't really think about a lot in these situations too. Is it's not just okay who can put their pin in the middle, who can judge the wind the best, but who can all around keep track of everything that you have to think of. You're thinking about your 20-second time clock. You can't let down in these situations. You don't have the time to let down. You have to execute that strong shot and just trust where you're putting it, and then watching the flags and still executing the good shot that you want to shoot.
On the downside, if you're overconfident, you may start feeling that you can get away with a lot more stuff.
Yes, absolutely, and that can almost be just as scary as not shooting well to begin with. You know, get a little bit too lazy sometimes. You know, not focusing or not trying. You know, so. And Chris I mean, that's a really good group as well. The one that's just off left a little bit is close still. So.
Ooh, and like Chris picks up 2 points on that one.
Yep. So that'll bring the match back to a 1-point match here.
Yep. Going into the last 3 arrows.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for the judges' official score before we call it, but it's looking like it's going to be 115 to 114 advantage to James Lutz on target 1. I will take just hitting the target sometimes, Melissa. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, especially when it's windy, there have been times where we've sat back and it's like, gosh, I don't envy them shooting out there at all right now because that wind's brutal. And then at that point, they're probably thinking the same thing, honestly. Like, please just let it hit scoring ring.
Or you just get caught in a wind gust and it just blows your shot and you're just like, oh, please hit the bail.
It's like, oh my gosh, wasn't expecting that. Oh, wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, definitely do not want to hit low into these stands. They are made of steel and they will shatter arrows.
Ooh.
And shatter your dreams sometimes.
Shatter your dreams for the tournament. Well, hopefully, we're not going to put that on them. We're just going to say we're gonna stuff them all right in the middle and end on a good note. So going into our final end here for the compound men's gold medal match at the SoCal Showdown, we have Chris Schaff shooting first on target 2. Our spotter says that's an 8-9 liner. That one is going to be up to the judge to call. Jimmy answering with a 10, kind of down by that group that he had there just an end or two ago. Yeah. So
it seems like he's found his confidence in his shot back.
Kind of came back, maybe refocused, recentered a little bit. Talked with his coach. Say, all right, what's the game plan here? What do I got to do? I'm sure Paul told him just to put them all in the middle.
Yeah. Just stay calm. You have the lead. Just shoot your shot, and
absolutely,
you'll shoot 10s.
So, and a 10 to finish for Chris. Can't ask for much more on your last arrow than to put it in the 10. So, nonetheless, Jimmy will take our unofficially, we'll take our gold medal at the 2021 SoCal Showdown.
Chris had probably a disappointing last end, but a silver medal is still nothing to be ashamed of.
Absolutely, really well. Absolutely. And like we had talked about just a little bit earlier, just to get to this point, you have to put all you have into it and win, multiple matches even to get to this point. So
you have to go through world champion, Vegas winners, World Cup winners. I mean, it's a gauntlet.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and it is official. Jimmy Lutz is our winner, taking the gold medal, and Chris Schaff taking the silver.
Congratulations to both of these archers, shooting very, very well out here on this kind of unpredictable and windy field.
Those who don't know, the field here at Chula Vista has a building to the left of the targets and a berm on the left side, so you get a interesting effect, swirling effect from the wind here that can definitely mess with your sense of wind. Because all of a sudden your arrows are being blown, but you're not being blown, or the other way around.
And that can be very, very confusing. That can kind of, you're like, well, at this point, okay, now what? Normally you can kind of gauge, okay, if I'm being blown a little bit, I can maybe get a little bit tighter into my back and just kind of tighten up a little bit and feel a little bit more solid. But if you're not feeling it and it's down on the targets, or maybe you're the only one that's feeling it, it's not impacting your arrows, then it's just like, oh my gosh, what do
I do? And there's nothing you can do. You just have to see, it hit right. Well, I'm not feeling any wind, so there must be wind down there or in between, and just aim off accordingly.
Right. Yep, absolutely. And for some of the recurve athletes that get to shoot on this field a little bit more, it might be a little bit easier for you guys to gauge. But when it's unpredictable, it's just unpredictable.
Yeah, here you get a very predictable direction, but every day it's.
But the impact might be.
Yeah, the impact is different. The speed is different, but you're going to get a left to right wind due to just the geography of the area.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are resetting the field right now. We are moving the targets to 70 meters for our moving into our recurve women's gold medal match. And we are going to be shooting set point scoring system now. So with our compound medal matches, we shot a cumulative score. You shoot all your arrows down there, 15 arrows, see who can shoot the most amount of points, and that archer wins. So in set scoring, which is what the recurve athletes are using now, it's actually on an end-to-end basis. So you shoot 3 arrows downrange for each archer, and whoever has the higher score wins the set points for that end. So if somebody shoots a 30 and somebody shoots a 29, the archer who shot the 30 will get 2 points. If you both shoot 30s, you each get 1 point, and then the first person to 6 points will win the match. So sometimes the match can be decided in 3 ends. You know, if you have the higher score on your first 3 ends versus your opponent, you'll just take the match outright. And if you end up tying, you know, maybe an archer wins 2 of the ends, another archer wins 2 of the ends, and then you tie once, well, that's when we're going to go to the single arrow shoot off. So we might see a little bit difference in score here, but what you're going to want to pay attention to is those set points down there.
Yeah, and it's a great thing if you make a mistake early on. It's even if you're you shoot a miss or if you shoot a 7,
you can come back from it.
Literally the next end, it's forgiven. You're still down, but you can bring it back.
Absolutely.
And even in the lead, if you're in the lead and you're tied 5-3 and you tie on that last end, if you shoot a 30, you will win. There is no that you will get your 6 point and move on.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So we have Mackenzie Brown and Casey Kaufhold here shooting for the gold medal in the 2021 SoCal Showdown. And this is actually going to be a rematch from Gator Cup.
And Arizona Cup.
And Arizona Cup. These 2 women have been in the gold medal match at every one of our USAT ranking tournaments this year, which is incredibly impressive. Seeing as, you know, they do have a lot of competition, but being able to consistently come and end up meeting in the gold medal match is pretty fun. And then
especially after we just finished our Olympic trials, which was 6 days in Salt Lake with over 200 arrows on some days, and we just literally got back Wednesday and we started shooting again on Friday.
Yep.
And then we have World Team Trials tomorrow, so it's been a rough week for some of these people.
Yeah, rough week, a lot of arrows, but a lot of, you know, mentally exhausting too. You know, a lot of times when you get back from a tournament, you're like, okay, I can relax, I can breathe for a second, you know, and then plan out a little bit, you know, maybe for a couple weeks there's a tournament in, but nope, this is just boom, 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 let's get going, you know.
Yeah.
And again, for them to be standing here is even just that much more impressive. So we'll have Mackenzie Brown shooting on target number 1 and Casey Kaufhold shooting on target number 2.
Both of them, Mackenzie qualified number 1 with a 671, and Casey Caulfield qualified with a 658 in number 2. So Casey Caulfield and Mackenzie Brown both made our Olympic team, with Casey taking number 1 and the guaranteed spot for Tokyo, with Mackenzie and Jennifer Monsino, who needs to, and Casey need to do a little work to get their team spots.
Yes, absolutely. And judging by, you know, the scores that they've been putting out, you know, they're fully capable. We know they can do it. So we've got Mackenzie Brown shooting the first arrow of the match on target 1, putting an 8 down there, maybe figuring out the wind a little bit. The practice range that they were able to shoot at was quite a bit away, so the wind could affect a little bit different on this end of the field than before. And Mackenzie's second arrow ends up being a 10, able to figure that out and get back in there. So.
Yep.
So both Casey and Mackenzie have a 10 and an 8 down there. Just I think proving that this is going to be a good match.
Oh yeah. These 2 always put on a good show for everyone.
Absolutely. And their sportsmanship and camaraderie just speak numbers to their character as athletes, as teammates, and as people as well. You know, on and off the field, these girls are friends and teammates, and we'll root each other on until maybe this moment, and then you might want it. You might want it a little bit.
Yeah, you want just a little bit more than them. But when they spend as much time traveling to all these national competitions, international competitions, trials events where they're shooting against each other 5, 6, 7 times in a 5-day period of time, you get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe get on each other's nerves. No.
That's the great part about the flight home. You're going different places.
Oh, absolutely. So
So Casey takes that first set with a 28, and she takes the lead with Mackenzie again shooting first on target 1 as we start here again.
But like we said, with the set points, at this point in the match, can be anybody's game. Looks like we have a little delay there. And
there we
are going. Okay.
Yeah, a little timing mishap there.
Yeah.
Seems it's been resolved.
Our field crew's on top of it. We got this.
Yeah.
All right. So Mackenzie shooting first. The wind picked up a little bit. We're looking like a left to right wind, and
it didn't seem to affect Mackenzie.
I think
much.
she gauged that pretty well. Absolutely, putting in the X ring. And a 10 for Casey. So that's incredibly impressive shooting, especially when we see the wind picking up.
Yeah, those USA archery flags are not being kind right now.
Right. Yeah. And Casey's second arrow looked like a 7.
Now Mackenzie just needs a good shot here.
Absolutely good strong shot.
And there we go.
And that's what she needed.
That's what she needed.
So this set will unofficially go to Mackenzie, and it'll be an all tied up match again. And a lot of times I'm not sure, I mean, with the set scoring, knowing that, okay, I already dropped more points in this end than my opponent did, especially like on Casey's last arrow there, might give you actually a little bit of time to play with things and say, okay, the wind's blowing here. If I aim in this spot, kind of gives you almost a practice arrow at that point. Kind of still want to obviously not just give it away and be like, oh, it just doesn't even matter anymore. You still want to shoot the strongest shot that you possibly can shoot, but just be able to kind of use it as a gauging arrow a little bit more.
You get a free sighted arrow, plus you get a reset arrow. You can just reset and make sure that you're doing it correctly.
Yep, feel every little spot in your forearm and say, okay, this is where my power, my direction is going, and kind of, like you said, maybe be able to reset a little bit. So it is official. Mackenzie took that set with a fantastic group down there, and we'll be shooting first.
Whenever there is a tie set score, we'll go back to the original shooting order.
Yep. So Mackenzie shooting first on target 1. 9-10 liner, it looks like, on that one. So that will be up to the judge to decide when they get down there. And then
still in that same group from last end.
Yep. So we hear some wise words from Mackenzie's coach, just good strong shot, and that's what she's got to do. And they know that. Casey knows it, Mackenzie knows it. Sometimes it just helps a little bit to have that reiteration in the background there. Yep, strong shot.
Keep your head clear.
No doubts, absolutely. And that one looked like it was a good 10 on there on the bottom of the 10. And a 9 from Casey. That group is pretty tight down there.
Both of them have shot really good groups.
Absolutely.
If one of Mackenzie's arrows caught the 10 ring on that one, she will take that set. But both strong groups, and all you have to do is just move your sight, move your aiming point, and then both of them are 10-size groups, so that's a 30 if you can get them into the 10.
Yep, and it might just be at that point a couple clicks in your sight, and at least okay, I shot great shots. I shot consistent shots, and especially in the wind when you're shooting, you just want to kind of find that consistency, find where you have that rhythm, where you have that feeling in your shot, and then you can kind of, give the sight a couple clicks. We pay extra for the sights to be movable,
Yeah. You don't have to take an Allen wrench. You just move.
You just reach up, give her a couple clicks.
And
I like to say that whenever somebody's like, "Oh, I don't want to move my sight," I'm like, "You paid for the clicks there. Use them. Use them smartly."
I mean, you could have gotten the $20 sight that just is fixed,
right?
and you have to take it apart to get it. But especially in here, it's like you don't want to be like, "Oh, I should have just given a few clicks here." Move your sight.
Move it. Get it done. Do it. Get back in the 10 there.
You can always move it back.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to talk just really briefly about the bows that these girls are shooting?
Yeah, so these are Olympic-style recurve bows. A difference between the compound and the recurve is mainly the cam system. They don't have one. They also have to use their fingers on the strings to hold and release the bow. And there's no rear sight. So you have just that small aperture you see on the front of the sight rod, and that's it. You have to use the string or head position to keep that back sight in there so you can maintain an accurate aiming point.
Absolutely. And both of these girls are shooting white bows with true ball, Excel sights. So some similarities, but when you look down to the nitty gritty of it, they're probably quite a bit different, tuned and tweaked exactly to fit each of them appropriately. So, all right, we have unofficially an 8 and a 9 for Mackenzie, and then we have an 8, a 9, and a 10 for Casey. So Mackenzie shoots a 9 on that last arrow, which means unofficially that she will actually give this set to Casey, which will bring us to a tied match. Either way, we'll be having another end.
Yep. And for recurve, when the set score is tied 5-5 is when we'll have a single arrow shoot off. So whoever wins this next set will take the match. And
if they shoot the same score,
then we go to a single arrow shoot off closest to the center.
And single arrow shoot offs are fun. They're fun to watch. They're nerve-wracking to be in. But it kind of does give you almost just an extra chance, one extra arrow in the tournament.
And especially if you come back from it to fight for that one arrow shoot off, you know that you fought for it and you fought the entire time.
Absolutely. You didn't give up. You didn't admit defeat too early. And more often than not, these matches are going to come down to the last end, the last arrow. And shoot off situations, it can come down to even a millimeter or two who can be absolutely just the closest to dead center. So Casey will shoot second. Mackenzie shoots first.
Mackenzie shoots the dead center in the 10 round there.
That's the benefit sometimes of shooting first is being able to put the pressure on the other person. And Mackenzie did just that. Casey answered very well. Mackenzie putting another solid X down there. She knows what she has to do. She knows how to execute that shot that she shot umpteen times in the past. Casey putting an 8 down there left. It's hard to tell. I don't want to put words in her mouth for her, but compensating for the wind maybe that wasn't there. And Mackenzie shoots a 9, so looks like she will actually take this end, and she will take the match.
Yep, unofficially. So seems like Mackenzie Brown will be your SoCal 2021 gold medalist, and Casey Caulfield our silver medalist. Great. Fantastic
shooting from both of these women here. I mean, we saw the groups that they were shooting, and at 70 meters, which is actually it's 77 yards, roughly, give or take a couple inches or so, which is a poke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long walk. It's a long walk for an arrow to make. So getting those groups is got to be extremely satisfying. I mean, even for even for compounds shooting 70 meters, we got to try real hard. And
Oh yeah, no, it's a long distance, and you have to make sure that the wind is right, and there's a lot less room for error with your form and your shot.
yeah,
Little millimeter
absolutely.
here, and you're off the 10 ring by about 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check out our comments real quick here, see if we've got any questions that we can answer. We love all of you guys watching here. Appreciate your support. The archers appreciate your support. And we know it can kind of be a little bit long when we're resetting the field, which we're putting up some new targets for our Recurve men's gold medal match coming up here.
Might be a little longer of a delay as I see both Brady and Jacob are both walking to the targets from the practice range.
They just can't get enough, huh? They want to practice up until the very last minute that they can practice, huh? The last second. She's like, no, just it's kind of like, if you're as a kid watching TV, no, just 5 more minutes, Mom, just 5 more minutes. just a couple more arrows.
And they're probably just so trying to get into the zone, feel the shot, feel the wind, that they probably even realized that the match had even started, let alone finished.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, especially with set points, you don't know exactly when that match is going to end, so you might think, I might have a little bit more time. And in
international competition, they'll bring you around like N2 just in case the match ends on N3.
Right.
But if that match goes to a shoot-off, you have about 15 minutes of sitting there waiting for the match.
Yeah,
and you're like, I could have gotten another 2 wins in.
I could have shot more practice arrows. And a lot of people, a lot of shooters do really like to practice up until the last end, because then the shot that they're wanting to make, which in practice you're just thinking about that perfect shot. You're just thinking about that solid, that smooth execution, and you want to carry that over. So you want to be shooting, you're getting your sights obviously as close as you can to perfect in practice, but you're mostly keeping your muscles warm and ready. So to have to come and sit for 10-15 minutes before your match actually starts, because kind of like, no.
I just got warmed up now.
Now I'm cooling down. But I mean, that's just one more thing that it's another variable that you got to take into account, with the wind and the lighting and sometimes even technical errors. I mean, we've even seen on the world stage where, timers might not be right. And that really is what sets the elite athletes from, maybe amateurs, is being able to take all those little variables and overcome them. Say, that doesn't matter. I'm just shooting my arrows where I'm supposed to.
Or if you're used to practice just shooting arrow after arrow, going into a practice match with a friend and just shooting arrow after arrow, and then all of a sudden coming to an event where there's a 10-minute delay because someone's scorecard flew away and they had to go chase it down, or or someone shot the handheld.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's only happened once, but it could happen again.
We'll think positive thoughts on that.
Positive
thoughts.
Those handhelds are not cheap, from what I'm told.
No, probably not. I wouldn't assume. And then being the one that would stick an arrow in it, I'd feel pretty bad. I might have to hang my head a little bit as I'm walking out, but
and you would damage one of your $50 arrows. That's probably not.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting set up here for our Recurve men's gold medal match at the 2021 SoCal Showdown. I'm going to introduce our archers for us.
On target number 1, we have Jacob Wookie, 2012 Olympic silver medalist. And target number 2, Brady Ellison, current world rank number 1, 3-time Olympic medalist and Olympian, and has just won our 2020/2021 Olympic trials, and will be guaranteed a spot in Tokyo, with Jacob Wookie taking 3rd. And we'll have some work to do in about a week and a half in Paris here to qualify the men's full team, along with Jack Williams.
Absolutely.
Who took our bronze medal earlier today, with the alternate Matthew Knopfel taking 4th place. So it was the whole Olympic team made the semifinals.
They're just getting in practice.
Yeah.
Working as a team, saying we're sticking together out here. So that just goes to show you the caliber of these archers here. And we have Brady Ellison shooting first on target number 2. Puts a good solid arrow down there, 10 to start off. And let's see, we got an answer with an 8. Maybe not exactly where he was hoping for it to go, but might have given him a good idea of what the wind is doing here down on this end of the field. And
maybe he was
Brady
expecting there's a small field house on the left of the field. Maybe he was expecting it to give slightly more shade from the wind.
Right, which, sorry, bud, we're not getting much help out here from that.
And a little overcorrection there, but
It's this first end is kind of about feeling it out and seeing what you're gonna have to do for the rest of the match. And Brady puts a good solid end down there with a 29, which means he will take the set. For our viewers just tuning in for our Recurve men's gold medal match, we are shooting set scoring system here for the Recurve matches, which is basically an end-to-end determination. We're forgetting about the cumulative score here for a little bit, and we're just focusing on end by end who can shoot more points in that end to win the set points. So in this particular instance, Brady Ellison has the higher score value in this end, so he will earn 2 set points for himself. Jacob Wookie will have 0 set points. And then the first archer to 6 set points will win the match. We could possibly see 5 to 5 here, which will then lead to a single arrow shoot off. But we've got some close looks on some of those arrows down there before getting our official score. So unofficially, Brady Ellison has a 2-point set point lead over Jacob Wookie.
But the great thing about the Recurve set point is, even though Jacob did not have the best first end, it's only a 2-point lead.
Yes, absolutely.
And that can easily be brought back with a 30 on this end to Brady's 29, which Brady did to me earlier today.
Oh, bring back some memories, huh?
Yeah.
So in our last end, we did see that Brady Ellison shot first, which the higher ranking archer from qualifications gets to choose whether they want to shoot first or second in the medal matches. So whoever chose to shoot first or chose to shoot second will be what happens on the first end. After that, the archer that is trailing behind in the set points will shoot first. So this end will have Jacob Wookie starting off the end on target 1. And it looks like a good shot there. 9 on the left-hand side.
He's finding the wind, feeling his shot.
Yep, absolutely. And Brady
is not letting up at all.
He's pretty confident in the spot that he picked and putting those good arrows down there. Let's see if Jacob can answer. And a 9.
Another solid shot.
Absolutely. See if Brady can answer to that. And our
Brady is putting it full throttle, not giving up any
pedal to the
room.
metal. Let's go. Turret 1 shoots an 8, so Brady has a little bit of wiggle room here to take the second end set points, and he does it. Solid 30 down there. I'd take that any day of the week.
That'll play. That'll play in this.
That'll play. That'll play. So again, both of these archers shooting are shooting a Hoyt Recurve bow. Is there a lot of differences in their setups?
Not really. Jacob has a wider V-bar mount and has a slight extension, which is very different from what he was shooting. Jacob was shooting a unique stabilizer system with a side rod coming off the top tiller hole and another side rod coming directly down the bottom tiller hole on the left side.
Okay.
But right
Quite
before,
unique,
right
yes.
before Olympic trials, he changed it. Shocked basically everyone on the field. Because
She likes to keep you on your toes,
been
right?
shooting.
Like, oh, guess what I'm gonna do?
He's been shooting his unique setup since about 2009, and just
Okay.
recently changed it.
Wow. So that's quite a change. I mean,
Yeah.
especially when you've got that many years behind you with something solid that's worked for you, to change it up. I can definitely see why you might have had the shock factor there.
Yeah. He shot really well at Olympic trials. He turned a lot of heads and was able to bring back from 9th place starting out stage 3 to all the way to 3rd. So
Absolutely.
seems to be working out for him.
Fantastic shooting. And you guys did have wind in the trials there too, so that's a lot of times, when you get a setup that you feel like, yeah, I can rock this, it's really good. You got to test it in all the elements. You got to test it in rain, you got to test it in wind to see if it's really the overall best for you. So coming into here, I'm sure he was confident, especially if he kept it that way. So all right,
dead center on the first shot.
Absolutely. And then an 8 over there on the left-hand side. It can be difficult too when with the wind, especially if you're feeling something. If you feel like the wind is stronger, but maybe it's not as strong down at the targets. There is a building on the left-hand side of the lanes here that might kind of interrupt that wind flow a little bit, and that's not something that you can tell. You can't gauge that. You don't know what it's doing all the way down there. So that was a fantastic shot to end that round. So
he needs a 10 here to
he
win the
needs
set
a
and
10
match.
to win the set. Otherwise, we'll keep going. And looks like he
That
does
10?
it. Our spotter's calling that a 10. So unofficially, we do have a winner here. Brady Ellison taking the gold medal at the 2021 SoCal Showdown. With, incredible shooting from both of these gentlemen here. Those spider X's that Jacob put down there this end, props, absolutely. I'm definitely impressed on that.
Yeah, and Brady drops, I believe, 2 points in 9 arrows is for a recurve archer is very impressive. Even for a compound archer, that's pretty good.
Absolutely. And Brady Ellison is officially called the winner. So we have Brady Ellison taking the gold medal at the 2021 SoCal Showdown, and Jacob Wookie taking the silver medal. Congratulations to all archers here on the field. It was incredible shooting. A lot of overcoming in elements, and can't wait till next time.
Yep, and best of luck to them in Paris for the final qualification tournament, and hopefully the Tokyo Olympics for all for medalists.
Absolutely. Good luck. We'll be watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.